Alrighty, folks, welcome to the second portion of the Lego project video instructional tutorials. So in the first video for this project, we went ahead and we did the whole top of the Lego. We did exact measurements for the cube and the circles on the top and all that stuff. So now, in the second video, we have to work on the bottom. And the bottom is actually pretty complicated, but we're going to go through it step by step, and your classmates are there and I'm there in class to help you out as well. So let me show you what the bottom's going to look like here. So no longer is it flat on the bottom. We actually have areas on the bottom that the top can snap into, because you guys know with Legos, they snap into each other. So we have these 3 circles in here, and then we have the whole thing push-pulled. Now there's a few steps involved in doing that, and we're going to go over each one of them in detail, but I just wanted you guys to have an idea of what it's going to look like once it's all done. So this is the finished product. Now let me move over, because I have copy-pasted the other Lego piece that we just completed here with the bottom not complete. So that's what I'm going to be working with. Actually, let me just move this one out of the way here so it's not too troublesome. There we go. Okay, so here's what we're working with. And again, we're going to work on the bottom. So let's just jump right into it. The first thing we're going to do is create the circles on the bottom so that we can push-pull them after. And the way we're going to do this is similar to the way we did the top. We're going to draw a couple midpoints as guidelines and then put the circles on top. So let's go ahead and draw these first few guidelines. There's going to be one going from left to right. And remember, these have to be in the midpoint. The whole point of the guidelines is so that they're measured correctly. Then we're going to have one right through the middle, just like we did for the top. And then we're just going to have 2 going down each of the sides. And that's all the ones we need. We don't have to draw a bunch of them like we did on the top, because we're only going to be drawing 3 circles. So go ahead and pause the video, draw your midpoints, and come back to us and we'll work on the next step. Alright, so now that you got your guidelines done, let's go ahead and draw these circles. And I'm going to explain this in more detail later, but the circles on top of the cube, these were 2.6, the diameter of 2.6, and that's how we measured them out. On the bottom, they're going to be 2.7, and I'm going to explain why a little bit later, but just for your information, when we draw these like we're going to right now, we're not using the 2.6 millimeter measurement, we're using 2.7. So I'm going to do the same thing I did before. I'm going to click the circle tool up here. I'm going to start my circle by clicking once. I'm just going to move the circle a little bit with my mouse and then go ahead and just type in 2.7 mm and press enter. There's our 2.7 diameter circle. So let's do this 3 times. So click once, get it started, 2.7 mm, press enter, and we'll do it a 3rd time. Click once, get it started by moving the mouse, 2.7 mm, and hit enter. There we go. So we got 3 circles down here on the bottom that are all 2.7 millimeters in diameter. And then we're going to also go in and just use the eraser tool and erase the little crosses in the middle. So I'm going to grab the eraser tool. And then I'm just going to delete all of these lines all the way around the middle. Now don't delete the lines on the outside. We just want the ones inside of the circle to be deleted. So go ahead and pause the video and make sure that your model looks like mine. And remember, these are 2.7 millimeter circles. Alright, welcome back. So you got your circles done, and now we're going to get into some new material. So the whole point of this is to be able to push-pull it so that we have circles underneath that can snap into another Lego piece. Now the thing is, we can't just push-pull it the way that it is now, because it's not going to leave a ring around the outside to make these cylinders the way we want them to. Let me just show you really quick what I'm talking about on our finished model here. So see here how when I've push-pulled these, there's cylinders left over. There's kind of walls on the circle, so that we're not just push-pulling and making a hole down the middle, but there's actually walls and kind of like a cylinder with no bottom sitting on the top. The no bottom being on the bottom, that is. So the way we're going to do that is we're going to use a new tool, and it's called the offset tool. And it's actually pretty easy to use, but a little bit difficult to understand. So what the offset tool does is it allows us to create shapes that are perfectly symmetrical to another shape that we've selected. So we're actually going to draw a tiny little circle inside of this by using the offset tool. So watch carefully. And and I'm going to show you how to do it. So I'm going to take the pointer tool really quick and select the first circle that I'm going to work with. So grab the pointer tool, and I'm going to double click inside of this circle. And you know what? That's blue. I don't really like the color because it's tough to see. So let me just change these to gray really quick so it's easier for you guys to be able to see them. Okay, so I'm going to grab the pointer tool and double click inside of the circle. Now when you double click, notice that the outside of the circle has this nice blue line around it as well as the inside. That's what we want. We've now told the computer that we've selected the circle and we're going to do something with it. And that something is we're going to offset the circle. The offset tool is right here, and it actually looks kind of like a circle with an arrow out to another larger circle. I'm going to grab this offset tool and watch carefully. I'm going to do something very specific. So I'm going to grab the offset tool, and I'm just going to click anywhere around the outside of the circle. Just click one time. And then I'm just going to move this in a tiny little bit, and I'm going to give this exact measurements on how much we want to offset the shape. So because the circles we made were 2.7 millimeters in diameter, we're going to offset this by 0.1 millimeters. And why are we doing that? Well, that's going to make it so our circles on the bottom are actually 2.6, this radius, the same radius as the ones we saw on the top. So I clicked once. I moved in a tiny little bit. I'm just going to type in 0.1 millimeters and press enter. So here's what we've done. Is we now have, and I'm going to zoom in here so you guys can see it, we now have a smaller circle on the inside of this circle that's going to make it easier for us to push-pull later on. So I'll just do this one more time, and then I'll have you guys pause. So I'm going to grab the pointer tool and do this second circle here. Grab the pointer tool, double-click inside of the shape. Then I'm going to grab the offset tool, click anywhere around the outside of the circle, and just move it in a little bit with my mouse. Now I didn't click and drag, I just clicked once. Now I type in 0.1 millimeters and press enter. And I'll just do it one more time, sped up for you guys this time. So I take the pointer tool, double click inside of the circle, grab the offset tool, click anywhere around the outside of the circle, drag in a tiny little bit with the mouse while I'm not clicking, and type in 0.1 mm and press enter. So now we have two circles kind of inside of each other on the bottom here. So go ahead and offset each of your circles, and don't forget to ask a shoulder partner if you need a hand, or raise your hand and ask me if you need a hand with this. So go ahead and pause the video now and offset each of your circles. Okay, now that you have some pairs of offset circles inside of the bottom circles of your Lego piece, we're going to do the exact same thing. We're going to offset each one of these outer squares here, so we have a nice lip around each of those as well. This is the exact same process, we just have to do it a few more times. We're still going to offset them at 0.1 millimeters, but we're going to have to do this 8 times because there's 8 different squares, right? So, same process. Double click inside, and now we can see that just this square is selected, and actually we can see that it's just this part of our circle from before as well. We're going to click the offset tool, click once anywhere on the outside of the shape, just move it in a tiny little bit, and then type in 0.1 mm and press enter. And we're going to do this for every single area around the circles. Now it's very important that you double click inside of the shape so that the border is selected as well. There's a difference between just clicking inside once and clicking twice where the actual outer border is selected as well. So be really careful with that. Again, I'm going to grab the offset tool, click anywhere in the border of the shape, drag in a little bit, 0.1 mm, enter. And we're going to go around and do this for every single one of these squares. So I'm going to double click inside with the pointer tool, grab the offset tool, click anywhere outside of the square, drag in a little bit, 0.1 mm, enter. And I'm just going to continue to do this all the way around. So all 0.1 mm. So all of our squares have a nice offset center inside of them. Again, double click, grab the offset tool, click once, Move it in a little bit, 0.1 mm. And keep going all the way around with our offset tool. There's another one. Double click inside with the pointer tool, grab the offset tool, click, drag in a tiny little bit, 0.1 mm, enter. And last one, I know it's a little tedious, we got to do it 8 times, but that's 3D modeling for you. So one more time, double click inside with the pointer tool, grab the offset tool, click on the edge, drag in a tiny little bit, 0.1 mm, and press enter. Okay, that was a lot there. But what we've accomplished is now we have kind of these double layers that are around all of our shapes, so that when we push pull, we will have a shape that looks like this with all individual bordered walls and stuff like that. So let's go back to this one. Go ahead and pause the video now and offset all of the individual squares around the outside of the circle. And we're offsetting the exact same way we offset the circles. Pause the video now and go ahead and accomplish that. All right, folks, we're in the home stretch. Now all we have to do is push-pull each of these shapes, and we are done. Done with the Lego project. Well, you're going to have to paint it as well, but other than that, we're pretty much done. So the push-pulling, we've done this a million times. You guys know what you're doing at this point. I'm just going to select the shape that I want to push-pull, and I grab the push-pull tool, and I'm just going to pull this up and make sure that it doesn't push-pull itself through the top of the Lego piece. Let me show you what that looks like. So I don't want to do this to where it's push-pulled to the point where it's up on top of our Lego. That does not look like a Lego piece. So undo that. We're just going to push-pull so that it's up as far as it needs to be so that we have a nice hollow inside of our Lego piece. And it's important to choose the right view when you do this, just so you can kind of see how high up you're going. So I'm going to keep going all the way around. There we go. All right. So all those are push-pulled, and we can see that it's a nice hollow Lego brick, and again, there's nothing sticking out of the top. And then we're going to do that for the circles on the inside as well. I'm going to push-pull this. Push-pull this, and it's not crazy important how much you push-pull it, just enough so that it's out of view and it's not sticking through the top of the Lego. There we go, complete. Doesn't it look beautiful? Look, we got all these nice individual sections inside. We have perfectly measured bottom circles. So if we were to print these, they would look exactly like a regular Lego piece. And if you're asking, yes. The top of the Lego piece will snap in exactly to the bottom of this, and that's because of all the measurements that we did to make sure it's perfect. So go ahead and pause the video, do all your push-pulls, and pat yourself on the back for accomplishing an extremely difficult project here. This is only the second project we've done, guys, so you guys should be impressed with yourself. I mean, this is pretty high quality, high skill 3D modeling that we're doing here, and you guys have been doing a great job, so thank you for that. Don't forget to ask a shoulder partner or ask me if you need a hand with absolutely any of this. Great work, everyone. We'll see you in the next project.